Welcome in. It's a beautiful Tuesday, but it is chilly outside. We are live from Social Taco here in Homewood in the Terrace. Landrum Roberts, Pat Smith, hopefully a lot of others like the Godfather. He's already here, and also the mayor of Social Taco, Don. Hey, Pat, how are you?
Hey, Landrum. Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you.
How you been?
Oh, I'm just trying to stay warm, Pat. These days, you get older, you get colder.
To tell me that.
I had the fireplace on last night.
Did you really?
Yeah. I was in my leather chair that I rarely use right there by the fireplace. I turned the lights down
Did you have
low.
your smoking jacket on with your pipe?
Dorothy walked in from work, and fear was the look that she had on her face. Like, oh, gosh, I'm really, really tired. What does he have planned? But, no, it was just nice to have the fire going.
Well, I remember during the pandemic, you would like to sit around the fireplace with your smoking jacket and a pipe.
I did. I did.
You put a little Frank Sinatra on? Well, you put a little Frank Sinatra on, a little jazz.
Yeah, had that. Had some what was it? Who was the other guy that I was going to? The big band. Was it Ralph? Was it Ralph Miller? No, it wasn't Ralph Miller.
I thought it was John Cicada.
No, it wasn't John Cicada.
It was Miller.
I think it was Miller.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. But the fireplace works, so that's good.
No, that was good. Did you have the flue open?
I did. Yeah. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here.
Well, I was going to say, Gringo would have been over at your house in a heartbeat.
Yeah, he would.
He'd be taking care of business. We're going to catch up with Mike Griffith from DogNation.com, AJC, coming up in just a couple minutes. Tyler McComas from Norman, Oklahoma Radio. He's going to be on the program at 11 o'clock, give us a preview of the Oklahoma-Bama game. Sean Fox from The Boot in Ruston, Louisiana. And Chris Stewart just texted me, Glenn Miller was the name that we were looking for.
Glenn Miller, not Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Ralph
Glenn
Miller, I think, was my acting teacher in college. I had to take intro to acting for one of my electives.
Oh, I did not know you were a thespian.
Yeah.
I said thespian.
I know you did.
Thespian.
And I'll tell you, during the break, the football player that was in there that the professor Miller put in the corner and made him stand in the corner like a kindergartner one day. I don't want to embarrass
the rabbit
guy.
holes we go down. Thank you,
it.
Chris Stewart, for the assist. I appreciate that.
Landrum told me yesterday that he's actually always had a dream of being an actor. I did not know that.
I did some theater as a kid.
Well, I mean, he was a child model. Him and Molly.
No, that's a little bit different. That was Mom trying to get a deal on some clothes.
Oh.
Well, now you run a modeling website, so it's great.
Well, I don't know. We might get that thing restarted. Have a temporary shutdown. Feet aren't what they used to be.
As I was saying, our guest list today, Sean Fox will be on the program at noon from Ruston, Louisiana, Sports Talk 97.7. This Brian Kelly story that just really exploded last night, as Dan Wetzel had the story at ESPN.com, where it appears that LSU is going to try to get out of not paying Brian Kelly's $53 million contract. And so Brian Kelly's people, they filed a 48-page lawsuit against the LSU Board of Supervisors in Louisiana's 19th Judicial District Court yesterday, kind of as a precursor to try to get them in court to make sure that Brian Kelly is paid. So we'll find out a little bit more about this interesting story with Brian Kelly and the mess that is LSU. He'll be on at noon, and then Dimitri Ravanos from SEC Unfiltered at 1.
My question would be, does this kind of buzz, this kind of news, does it give pause to any other potential big-name coaches that might be entertaining the prospect of going to LSU without knowing any further details? Because just on the surface, you could take the Brian Kelly side and say it looks like LSU just decided they don't want to pay and they're going to make this as difficult as possible for no reason.
True. Brian Kelly was represented by Trace Armstrong, not Jimmy Sexton. Lane Kiffin is represented by Jimmy Sexton. But any head coach, seeing the mess that is Louisiana politics, when the governor gets involved, now you're trying to stiff a coach that you had a contract for. It's so interesting the angle that they're trying to take. Basically, LSU was saying that the athletics director did not have the power to fire Brian Kelly. So when his superior told him, you don't have a job, and I guess since Brian Kelly did not come to work, or Brian Kelly could not get in the building because they turned his key card off, that now LSU is saying basically you didn't show up to work, so now you're in violation of your employment agreement.
That's a bad
That's
look on LSU.
That's kind of in a nutshell what it's going to come down to. I hope Brian Kelly gets every
I do too.
Stinking Cajun penny that they got to pay him.
Yeah, and I would venture to guess that a lot of LSU fans agree with us and think, yeah, you made the agreement. That's the deal that you made. Pay the guy his money because it looks it's not a good look for LSU.
No. LSU stance is Kelly was never formally terminated. Scott Woodward lacked the authority to fire him. Grounds now exist to fire him with cause. Now, Kelly's rebuttal is that his representatives reject all three of those points I just mentioned, that Woodward acted with authority, and including in that meeting was now the new AD, Verge Asbury. He was in that meeting in which Brian Kelly was told, we're going to make a change. And then LSU has never put in his personnel file that there was any kind of alleged misconduct that would lead to his firing.
Well, what about these reports where the two parties allegedly LSU went to him with a buyout
They went to
a
him,
reduced buyout? So if you think you're firing him for cause, why are you offering those things?
Yeah, they offered him $25 million, said no. Then they offered him $30 million, and he said no. So, all right, let's ask Mike Griffith from DogNation.com. AJC covers the Southeastern Conference and the Georgia Bulldogs. He gets things started on this Tuesday live from Social Taco. Mike, we're just talking about this story that broke last night in Louisiana about Brian Kelly now going to court trying to get his $53 million. You've covered this conference for a long time. Have you ever seen something this crazy in regards to a coach firing?
Sure. Coaches leaving. Remember Lane Kiffin leaving in the middle of the night at Tennessee? Oh, wait a minute. We're not supposed to bring up Lane Kiffin's bad life. He's a new person now. Sure. There's been other fiascos like this. This is a little more high stakes. Obviously, it's $54 million, and it makes you wonder if there's some unspoken fact about Brian Kelly we don't know. But you guys pointed it out. If there's nothing in his file, it would seem to be a cut and dry case. What does the contract call for, right? And then if this does happen where they're able to negotiate some of his buyout contract down, what does this do for other contracts and coaching right now, and how Jimmy Sexton's writing those up, and how enforceable are they? We know there's been some NIL situations where kids either didn't get paid or deals went sideways. So I guess everything goes to court these days, but I don't think it's a good look for LSU, do you?
No, and that was going to be my next question. Because of all of this, because of the governor's involvement, now you've got a lawsuit going. If you're a coach, we all say that LSU is one of the best jobs in college football, but does this not hit pause to a lot of people that potentially would consider that job because of the mess that it is down there?
Oh, absolutely. With the governor being involved, and you fired a coach that was winning more than 70% of his games, and what is this, his third year? Is that right? Third year? Is that right for Brian Kelly? Went to the SEC championship game his first year.
34-14, 48 games.
Produced a Heisman Trophy winner his second year.
So
this year they had
year.
some injuries. Yeah, okay, fourth year. I don't know. Lost some close games, right? I think all of his losses this year were to top 10 teams, or Vandy was on the brink of it at least. So, yeah, I think LSU's a mess. I don't think it's one. I don't think. Yeah, you can win there, but if you don't, boy, it's a fast track out of town.
Mike, just right now, and I don't know if you've received any information or gotten any insight onto how that coaching search is going, but if you had to guess, just reading the tea leaves, do you think it's a splash hire, talking about a big-time name head coach, not saying exactly parallel to what Brian Kelly brought when he came from South Bend, but do you think it's a splash hire, or do you think that LSU has to, air quotes, settle?
Well, I was listening to Jacob Hester the other day on his program, and he was talking about, if you look at the three coaches that won a national title, Ed Orgeron wasn't a splash hire. He was an interim, right? And, Les Miles came from Oklahoma State and had done a pretty good job there. But and then when you think about what Nick Saban did at Michigan State, he never won the Big Ten. So the three coaches that won national titles there, it's not like they were, championship coaches before they went there necessarily. I don't know that they need a splash hire so much as they need the right fit. They need somebody that's going to go in there and lock down the state, understand the expectations, and will coach with an edge.
Mike, a lot of people around college football, they wanted to make the trip that Georgia just had to Starkville. They thought this was going to be a potential upset. Georgia was able to come out after giving up that early touchdown, and they just smacked around Mississippi State. I was thoroughly impressed with what Georgia was able to do against a surging Mississippi State team. Just your takeaways from that game over in Starkville.
Well, I mean, a couple things. I think I said on the program last week, I was skeptical of Mississippi State's ability to handle success and handle the moment. They've not done a good job with that over, generations. It's a small town. It's nice. I will say that I thought it was beautiful there. I actually stayed in Tupelo and, drove around Starkville a little bit before and after the game. And the area is beautiful. I mean, I know a lot of people, make jokes about it, but it's a really beautiful part of the country. And I was really impressed with the campus and the newness of it all. So they've done a great job there. And then the environment was great. I thought the cowbells were spectacular. I thought the pregame show was great. I thought the fans were warm and engaging. And it was just a great game day environment. And, Georgia handled the moment, right? They handled the moment better than Mississippi State has. Georgia's been in a lot of those moments. They know what it's like. To be the biggest game of the year for somebody. They're getting used to it. It's not too unlike, what Alabama has become accustomed to. And I think Kirby Smart has his guys ready for those moments. And I think it was as much about handling the moment as it was any of the X's and the O's.
When you look at the big one coming up this weekend and the third matchup in 2 seasons with the Texas Longhorns, you look at the strength of that team versus where they were last year. It looks to me like this Georgia football team primed and ready for a third straight win over the Longhorns. How do you see it shaping up?
Yeah, it's kind of remarkable when you think about all the turnover Georgia's had since last year with, I think, 13 guys drafted, another 4 guys going as, free agents, and then 20 guys in the portal, and 6 of those guys were former starters. Boy, that's a lot of turnover. So you can't really look at last year's games against Texas because it's really a new team. It's a new Texas, too. So Georgia does have some momentum coming out of Starkville. That's good. I mean, Texas had a bye week. I think that's good for them. But I think Georgia made the most of the game they had to play and left there pretty much intact. Lawson Lucky, I think you saw him take a pretty good shot at the tight end, but Kirby's indicated he'll be okay. So I feel like Georgia's in a pretty good place.
Mike Griffith joins us for a few more minutes from the AJC, covers the Southeastern Conference. Also, you can find his work there at dognation.com. All right, so Alabama got past LSU last Saturday night, but the running game continues to be a problem. When you look forward with Oklahoma this weekend and then a trip down to Jordan-Hare Stadium, do you think the Tide is capable of winning those 2 games and getting to Atlanta?
Yeah, I got the best quarterback in the country. I mean, he's a great decision maker, and if you're going to take the run away, you're going to pay a price. If you've got a quarterback that can make a team pay for that, you're good, and they do. They have a great decision maker and a great player and a great head coach. Offensive coordinator has been impressive. Alabama defense, saw some teeth in that. Alabama's playing really well. They've weathered a storm. I think the Auburn game is more dangerous than Oklahoma. Auburn impressed me against Vanderbilt, and DJ Durkin coaches. I said earlier, coaches with an edge, and look, this guy's taking his best shot, trying to become a head coach, and I think he's a really good coach, and I think the Auburn players showed a lot of fire. Now, what do they have in store the next couple of weeks? I'm not sure, but I think we've all seen enough Alabama-Auburn games to know that they're gonna get Auburn's best shot, and the Auburn's best shot that I saw for 28 minutes was really good against Georgia. I mean, they were really, really dominant, in fact. So I guess we'll stay tuned to Auburn. Oklahoma, I just don't know that John Mateer has been the same since the injury, and I think Brendan Venables is a really good coach, and I think they've taken a step. But I don't think Oklahoma can stay on the field with Alabama, especially when you consider what happened last year. And, the Alabama players coming back are well aware of that. And, we clearly didn't see the best version of Alabama last year against Oklahoma, and I think this year you will. I feel pretty confident Alabama's going to win that game handily.
Mike, Texas A&M, Mike Elko's got things rolling. I know they're good. We all know that they're good. How good is this Texas A&M team, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, how good is Notre Dame? I don't know. I mean, is that their best win? What do you think their best win is so far? Would that be it on the road at Notre Dame? And
yeah,
I don't know. who have they beaten in the SEC? Right? They haven't played Alabama, Georgia, or Ole Miss. I guess LSU.
Missouri, Auburn.
So, yeah, Missouri, Auburn. Yeah. I beat Auburn by what? A touchdown?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I mean, Mike Elko's, showing a little bit of attitude, and they're all saying the right things, and I thought it was impressive to win in Missouri with, that's a really talented quarterback, by the way. Georgia really wanted that Dollars guy, so I'm not taking anything away from him, but I'll be honest. I don't have a whole lot of confidence that Marcel Reed, when push comes to shove, is, the cat's meow. I'm not convinced that Texas A&M is a national championship caliber program yet. I think they're having a great season, but you line them up against Alabama tomorrow on a neutral field, I'm taking Alabama. I can tell you that. So we'll see. I mean, they got South Carolina at home this week, and Shane Beamer's team's gotten it done before. I mean, they were leading in Tuscaloosa in the fourth quarter, if I'm not mistaken, right? So let's see if South Carolina's got any bite left. Hard to imagine, but you never know. And then of course they play at Texas, and Texas has won 4 in a row, and coming into this game with Georgia, and let's see what happens with Texas, Georgia. I mean, it's still possible that we could have that Georgia-Alabama rematch in the SEC championship game. It's possible, not likely, but possible. But so I'm kind of speaking out of both sides of my mouth here. On the one hand, I feel like A&M has the resume and the schedule strength that they should be considered for number one. But on the other hand, I'm telling you that when push comes to shove, I don't even think they're the best team in the SEC. So, I couldn't rank Alabama number one, though, because they do have a loss to Florida State. I mean, that's on the resume.
Well, you sound like a committee member.
Yeah, well,
talking out about.
I think Mike should be on the committee. To be
I do
honest with
too.
you.
No, in all seriousness, Mike should be on the committee.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Ohio State. They beat Texas by 7. What's their next best win? I don't know. What's their resume say? You tell me. Who do they beat?
Texas is the one that stands out to me.
Okay, Florida beat Texas by 8. So now, and Indiana needed a last-second play to beat Penn State, right?
Yeah. A winless Penn State in the Big Ten.
I mean, so, and then you're going to tell me that those resumes stack up against Texas A&M, that I think has 3 wins over ranked opponents, albeit not the SEC's best teams, not Alabama, not Georgia, not Ole Miss. So scheduling is what it is. Committee's got a tough job. We know that the rankings don't really matter right now. What matters is what happens after the championship games. I hate to say it, but I'm starting to lean towards the philosophy that maybe we need more than 16 teams. Maybe Drinkwitz is right. Maybe we need to play in games. Maybe there's just that much parity, because I was trying to look at the bottom of the conference. I mean, who's the worst team in the SEC right now? Who is it?
Technically, it's Arkansas.
Yeah.
But a team that played Texas A&M, to your point, Mike, to a field goal.
So that's the difference between the top and the bottom of the league, 3 points. I mean, it's pretty remarkable, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's remarkable. So this is where we're at, and we'll see if the committee takes that into consideration in the rankings. I don't think they will, from what I'm hearing. I thought that, maybe the A&M, but I heard Heather Dinich, and I have a lot of respect for Heather, and, visit with her a few times a year, but she's even kind of trying to mitigate, Missouri didn't have their starting quarterback. Okay, well, Purdue doesn't have any quarterback. Purdue sucks. Can we talk about Ohio State beating Purdue by 24?
Where's Danielson when you need him?
Can we talk about, like you said, Penn State not having
winless.
a conference win?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, why are we pointing the finger and picking at Texas A&M and just pretending like Indiana and Ohio State are all that when you look at their resumes and they're woeful. And the Big Ten scheduled it this way. They backload their schedule. They do this on, it's strategic. It's calculated. You can't be critical of it because it's smart. And maybe the SEC smart too. A&M doesn't have Georgia, Georgia, Ole Miss, or Alabama on their schedule. Maybe that's smart. Look at the schedule Texas has played their first 2 years in the league. Talk about a sweetheart deal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you got to go to Georgia, but we're going to give you a bye week before you go there. Yeah, that's real fair. I mean, come on. So it's happening everywhere. It's not hard to identify, in my opinion. But maybe the Big Ten's better at picking the teams. I guess if I would have thought if the SEC would want to take care of anybody, it'd be Alabama and Georgia, the programs that have kind of carried it for the last 30 years.
Yeah.
But maybe not. Maybe that Texas money talks.
Yeah. That is Mike Griffith. You can follow his work at the AJC and also dognation.com. Mike, always great to catch up. Should be a big one this weekend between the hedges, and we will talk to you next Tuesday.
Thanks, Mike.
They're all big. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. That's Mike Griffith. Joined us, just like all of our guests do, on the Higginbotham Hotline. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
We got a busy show. We're live from Social Taco. The door's going to be opening officially at 11 o'clock. Come in and enjoy the Mix and Match Taco Tuesday. Also, the Mexican pizzas. And don't forget about those dollar cervezas that FSU Dave loves so much. SocialTaco.bar for more information. We will pick apart some of what Mike Griffith had to say, and we'll talk college football happenings, what's going on across the landscape, and especially in the SEC. As we continue, three-man front on a chilly, beautiful Tuesday on Jocks.
It is 10:25. Welcome back. We're live at Social Taco. The doors officially open up at 11 o'clock. You can come see us. We'll be here until 2 o'clock. I know it's a cold day, but, man, great Mexican cuisine is waiting for you. Take an extended lunch. Come by and see us here at Social Taco.
Well, like Pat said, it's a cold day, and you don't want to get caught in the cold, so schedule your system checkup now from a trained comfort specialist. Train has been recognized for 11 consecutive years as America's most trusted HVAC brand and our exclusive home comfort partners here at Jocks. So visit train.com to find a comfort specialist near you.
So our friends at Auburn Undercover, they had an opportunity to sit down with John Cohen yesterday, and it's really a fascinating Q&A. Langelo and I, we were going over it a couple minutes before the show, and just going to read you a couple of the highlights in this Q&A with John Cohen. This is one of the questions that Auburn Undercover asked him. Would you be willing to say how many people you have spoken to, or about how many have you spoken to already for the Auburn coaching position? This is a direct quote from John Cohen. We have probably had conversations with 7 or 8 sitting head coaches. We'll get that number down. I would love to have a head coach within 24 hours after the Iron Bowl is over. Is that possible? I don't know. The reason I don't know that is because I don't know how our candidates' seasons are going to progress over the next 3 weeks. So you and I were kind of bouncing the potential of 7 or 8 names in which we believe the people that we have talked to around Auburn and around the coaching world in college football, the potential of who those 7 or 8 candidates could be.
Yeah, the first one that comes to mind is obviously John Sumrall, and his team is still squarely in the mix for an American Conference Championship berth. Eli Drinkowitz, that's a name that's been floated around. I know that he's represented by the same guy, as I understand it, as John Sumrall is, and also Dillingham. If you throw him in, Missouri's obviously he would be available there.
Right.
If you consider Dillingham one of those guys, then I would think that Dillingham's probably available as well.
We also assume Durkin is one of
DJ
those
Durkin,
as well.
if he is considered still a candidate, then yes, that would be a possibility. After that, I don't know. I don't think that James Franklin's a real possibility. I find it hard to believe that Rhett Lashley is. Nothing against Rhett, just going back down that road, and he seems like he's very, very happy where he is at SMU.
On the characteristics of the next head coach at Auburn, this is what John Cohen told Auburn Undercover. It has to be a person that fits Auburn and fits Auburn's needs. Our need is for someone who has an edge. The reason I say that so much is that many of our players, I spoke to one this afternoon, I'm going to speak to more during the course of this week because we have an open week. They talk about wanting to be coached hard. They want to be treated fairly, but they want to be coached hard. They want a leader who is going to have an edge and has a very high expectation all the time. That is priority number one. End of quote.
It sounds like a couple of coaches that come to top of mind when I think about their personalities and how they ran their programs or currently run their programs.
Yep.
If Nick Saban would be the first that comes to mind. But just from afar, I look at a guy like Kirk Cignetti as being demanding excellence from the moment you walk in the building to the moment you leave and how you carry yourself everywhere.
So 24 hours after the Iron Bowl. And that is a date that we had heard anyway. We had heard the Monday after the Iron Bowl.
Right.
That was the target.
Yes.
You know, if certain things worked out. But as he pointed out, you never know. Maybe one of these candidates that he has spoken to that
agrees. In principle, and coaches works double duty, coaches the championship game if his team's in it. The following, let's say it's Summerall, it would be the following Friday, the day before the SEC championship game. And, yeah, you have that all week to kind of juggle things because other coaches have done it in the past.
Yeah, sure have. So we will continue with this conversation. We'd love to hear from you, 1-800-239-WJOX. We're live at Social Taco. Come on by and see us. This is Three Man Front on Jocks. Welcome back to Three Man Front. We're live at Social Taco. Be here until 2 o'clock. Come on by and see us. We've already talked to Mike Griffith from the AJC. Tyler McComas from KREF Radio in Norman, Oklahoma. He'll be with us at the top of the hour. So we're just talking about this John Cohen interview with Auburn undercover Landrum, and you and I were kind of bouncing some names off because he says he's already spoken to 7 or 8 sitting head coaches, which that's a very impressive list so far since the firing of Hugh Freeze. And we believe that one of the names that's on that list is Eli Drinkwitz. His name has been up for potentially the Florida position. I've heard it briefly for the LSU job, but I don't believe he is a candidate for that job.
Right.
So let's just assume that Eli Drinkwitz is potentially a name of interest for both Auburn and Florida. So the number one sports talk show in St. Louis, it's called The Morning After on ESPN Radio 101 FM in St. Louis. Well, their host yesterday morning, they were talking about Eli Drinkwitz being up for all these potential jobs. They've also notified and they realized that Eli Drinkwitz, albeit he's done a really good job in Columbia, should they really be concerned if Eli Drinkwitz left Columbia based on the fact that how many big games has Eli Drinkwitz really won? So take a listen to this clip from their morning show. And I love this clip because if anybody listens to this show, everyone knows I love numbers. I geek out on numbers. They make the case on why Eli Drinkwitz is not a candidate anybody should be going after.
This is not opinion. This is SEC schools records from 2020, Eli Drinkwitz's first year, through 2025. Their record against teams with winning conference records. So that would mean finishing 5-3 or better. The best, Alabama, 14-4. They've won 78% of their games. That is through today, so including 2025 teams with a winning record in the SEC. Then Georgia, 11-7. Texas A&M, 6-8. Ole Miss, 4-10, 29% winning percentage. LSU, 5-16. South Carolina, 4-15. Tennessee, 4-16. Florida, 4-17. Auburn, 2-18. Kentucky, 1-16. Arkansas, 1-21. Vanderbilt, 1-18. Mississippi State, 1-22. The University of Missouri, 0-15. It's a fact. If you want to say, well, he started to turn things around in 2023, no problem. Let's look at 2023 through 2025. Alabama, 9-1. Georgia, 6-4. Texas, when they entered 2 years ago, 3-2. Ole Miss, 4-4. A&M, 2-5 for a 40% winning percentage. LSU, 3-8 for a 27% winning percentage. Florida for a 25% winning percentage. South Carolina, 2-9. Tennessee, 1-7. Oklahoma, 1-6. Auburn, 1-10. Kentucky, 1-10. Vanderbilt, 1-10. Arkansas, 1-11. Missouri, 0-8. Mississippi State, 0-12. There is the information.
So there you go. That is pretty damning, folks.
The numbers don't lie. You know, it felt like Missouri had done it kind of that way, but without going back and looking and doing all the research that they obviously took the time to do.
So I know if you were
That
driving,
confirms it.
you didn't have an opportunity to write these numbers down, so I'm going to share them with you. Since between 2020 and 2025, these are the teams' record versus teams with a winning conference record, which means they finished 5-3. Not 4-4, 5-3, a winning record in the SEC. From 2020 to 2025, Alabama went 14-4. Georgia is next at 11-7. You go down the list, Auburn is 2-18 during that time frame against winning teams in the SEC. Missouri is 0-15. They have not won one game against a team in this conference that have finished above 500. And then, like you heard the talk show host mention, if you go back to 2023, when Eli Drinkwitz kind of started turning things around, that was the belief in Como, Missouri's 0-8. So they are yet to beat a team above 500 since he's been in Como. I'm not saying that Eli Drinkwitz is not a good football coach.
No.
I'm just saying that if you're the University of Florida or if you're Auburn University and you are looking to potentially put the keys to the Lamborghini in front of him, I'm not sure you do that.
No, and the other drawback when you hear people talking about Eli Drinkwitz, I like Eli Drinkwitz. His personality doesn't fly all over me, but it's different, and it's an acquired taste. And apparently there are administrators that don't really care, or boosters that really don't care for the smart elegantness of Eli Drinkwitz. But, yeah, you're right. So if you're crunching numbers and you're putting Eli Drinkwitz and you're looking at other head coaches and you want to crunch the numbers on a James Franklin, well, James Franklin has still won. He's won games against teams that have winning conference records.
Yeah, he just did not win the so-called big game.
The big games.
Now, keep in mind, Auburn fired a coach who could not beat a ranked opponent.
Right.
And you also have a situation where Auburn, in the last 2 years, they are 1-10 against teams that finished with at least a 5-3 record in the Southeastern Conference.
You know what's interesting about this, though, is we think about Auburn and how bad it's been, and they're 2-18 in that stretch versus teams that finish with a winning conference record. But with all the success, and I'm not picking on Ole Miss, but I'm looking at other teams too that Ole Miss has had, or you look at Shane Beamer at South Carolina, they only have 2 more wins in that same time frame. Now they played less games than the sample size of 20. But it's very interesting when you stack all of these side by side. I mean, Alabama, that doesn't really surprise me at 14-4.
Well, and if I'm mistaken, right, it was only Alabama and Georgia. Those are the only 2 teams that had a winning record.
Yes, correct.
Next would be Texas A&M at 6-8 over that time span.
Yeah, 43%. Everybody else is below 30%. But it's just startling to think that Eli Drinkwitz and the amount of money that they're paying him at the University of Missouri, the talk show hosts were basically, they're not saying, like, get rid of Eli Drinkwitz. They're just saying they're frustrated because every time that Eli Drinkwitz in Missouri has an opportunity to take that next step forward, what happened against Texas A&M happened.
Yeah.
Or against Alabama happened, So if all these athletic directors, and keep in mind these athletic directors, they have all these statistical data as well as talk show hosts do, but it was just the fact that they said, hey, look, Eli Drinkwitz is a good football coach, but let's just remind everybody his numbers of what he has done since he's been in Como. And he's 0-15 against winning teams in the SEC, and he's 0-8 since 2023.
See, to me, I would be enticed if I'm John Cohen of going and looking at a guy that everyone speaks highly of, that has really good high school relationships. You can't find anybody to say a negative thing about this particular coach, but somebody who does have an edge, but has also won at a high level wherever they've been. John Summerall checks the boxes. Has he been a head coach in the SEC? No, but the unknown actually intrigues me more than seeing a guy that has tried to do it in Como, and albeit that's a tough place to do it. But I would roll the dice on somebody with that kind of track record and resume versus maybe somebody who's already experienced the SEC. And that 0-15, whew, that's tough.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's somebody out there that's listening going, but they beat Ohio State in that bowl game. And they did beat Ohio State in that bowl game, and that's probably the most impressive win that he has, but that was also an Ohio State team that missed the playoff and had half their roster opt out of that game.
Yeah, they were using, their third, fourth-string quarterback.
Yeah, who then transferred out of the program after that game. So, again, okay, you can give him credit for that, but, I mean, if that's the biggest win that you have, don't know if that's giving a lot of confidence to these ADs.
Yep. Just interesting numbers.
Yeah.
Stats don't lie. So.
And I would think that athletic directors, they have someone that's pulling all of these numbers.
No question.
And extrapolating.
No question. And then because you have to balance that. I mean, whoever – I'm not saying that Eli Drinkwitz is going to be named a head coach anywhere else besides the University of Missouri, but let's just say he is. Don't think for a second that number is not going to – I mean, just like when Gene Chizik was hired at Auburn.
Yeah.
What was the number?
Yeah, it was 5-19.
Yeah. Boom. That was automatically built in everyone's mindset immediately.
That was the letter he had to wear until he proved something.
Yes. And he won a national championship. It went down south after that, but he did get a national championship. But that 0-15 number by Eli Drinkwitz against teams with a winning record in conference play, That's startling. We will continue on. This is Three-Man Front on Jocks, 1-800-239-WJOX. We'll get to your text messages on the Courtesy GMC text line. Many of you are already chiming in about Mike Griffith's segment that we had about 30 minutes ago. This is Three-Man Front on Jocks. You know, the door is officially open here at Social Taco at 11, but you know what? We got brand new listeners that have come in, and they have decided to stop by and see us and have lunch here with us, so we appreciate that greatly. As the weather turns, now's the time to get your mowers and tractors serviced for the end of the season, and Artec Tractor is the place to do it. They're your certified Mahindra servicing dealer, and just in time for the hunting season, their hunter's package includes a Mahindra 1635 with loader, trailer, bush hog, tiller, and spreader, all for $0 down and just $450 per month. Artec has a full line of tractors as well as heavy construction equipment for those big jobs just north of Jasper on Highway 5 or online at artectractor.com.
The Jocks text line is open, 205-834-9450. A lot of comments coming in. Mike Griffith always getting a lot of reaction. Some of it is okay to read. Some of it is not. First one rolling in, we were talking about LSU reportedly not wanting to pay the full buyout of one Brian Kelly. This one from the great state of Texas. Thanks for listening on the Jocks app. Baton Rouge is one of the biggest something holes in the USA.
Wow.
This one reads, "This Notre Dame hate is so unreal. Who is this dude? What do you mean? What's Texas A&M's best win? Of course it's Notre Dame at South Bend. I know that's y'all's guess, but y'all should call out on some of this BS. He clearly doesn't watch college football a lot, or at least doesn't watch Notre Dame."
Okay, so Notre Dame loses to a Miami team that's not even going to sniff the college football playoff, and you lost to a Texas A&M team that will not play Alabama, Georgia, or Ole Miss during the regular season.
By the way, Ohio State, after the Texas win, their second best win, it would be on the road at Champaign-Urbana,
Illinois,
34-16. A team that got beat by Indiana by 53. That's your second best.
Landrum, they beat Purdue by 30 this weekend.
Well, you know what? That was impressive, and that's all I needed to see, Conrad.
We're going to hear all about Ohio State's game control against Purdue tonight.
Well, I just saw a story a minute ago talking about how, how they're separating themselves by everybody else from the field. Like, really? By playing who?
See, that's the thing with Ohio State is I think I would say they're the best team that I've watched this year, but I also haven't really watched them play anybody that's all that good. So they look great, but I don't know how that measures up.
Well, if we play 3-on-3 against a bunch of third graders,
No, I knew what you were wanting to say, but you didn't.
The eye test would say that we look like a pretty good 3-on-3 team.
Yep. Were you about to do the Dave Aranda?
No. Yes, that's what I thought he was.
No,
I
thought we were going the Dave Aranda round.
I did too.
No. Oh, golly. With Mike Griffith today, he rambled all over the place. He did prove one thing, according to the angle you take. You can make an argument for many different teams being equal to or better than certain other teams. Everyone argues from that angle that best makes their point. Yeah, it's a really impossible task asking whoever the chairperson is to come out and try to explain what the committee did in that room and then try to justify it. It is a rabbit hole that you can go down for days. It'll take away part of your life.
All right, so I think I know the answer to this question, but I want to ask it anyway. Let's say that Georgia had beaten Alabama. Is Georgia ranked ahead of Texas A&M in the CFP? Both teams undefeated.
If they had beaten Alabama, yes.
I think they're the number one team in the country if they beat Alabama and are undefeated right now.
So Georgia would be number one, and then Ohio State, then Indiana, then Texas A&M?
Yep.
Probably. That's your top four?
Yeah.
Probably so.
Okay.
I see that. Someone asking about rumors that we're not going to repeat here on the show about Brian Kelly at LSU. Maybe some smoke there. We'll wait and see if anything comes of it.
Well, here's the thing. Brian Kelly, not the university, but Brian Kelly, they filed a lawsuit yesterday. Not LSU against Brian Kelly against LSU.
Right.
So I would think that he feels pretty good about their chances instead of risking all of that money.
Correct.
Because they've already come to him with a $25 and a $30 million buyout. And he says, no, you owe me $53, $54 million.
Yep.
I would think that full transparency with his attorneys when they say, hey, coach, there's no skeletons here, right? I mean, we're all good. Because if you can't tell us that we're all good, then we need to look at that $25 or $30 million buyout.
Yeah.
Just being honest. Now, is there anything we should be worried about? Because it happened before with Les Miles.
Yes, it
And
did.
what did Les Miles do?
Right.
He took the money, and he left.
Well, don't you think if there was some big skeleton in Brian Kelly's closet that they had, wouldn't they have said this 2 weeks ago instead of yesterday? I guess it just seems odd that we went through everything and now they're all of a sudden, well, actually, we're going to fire him for cause, or we think we have reason to fire him for cause. Why wouldn't you have said that in the first place?
Yeah, Bartman adds LSU's fixing to end up with Mike Gundy after all of this nonsense. That'd be something right there.
That would be.
Woo.
So famed attorney Tom Mars who has represented a handful of coaches against schools trying to wiggle out of that money, he tweeted this morning. He says, no school has ever won a termination for cause lawsuit, even when they could allege grounds with a straight face. Thus, it seems unlikely that LSU could set a new precedent when everyone in college sports is laughing at them for taking a position that's absolutely absurd. That's Tom Mars, who has won a lot of cases against the schools and the NCAA. He thinks this is a crazy thing for LSU to even
Refresh
attempt.
me, if you can remember, what was the beef with Brett Bielema when he left Arkansas and he was still fighting them over that last, it seemed like $15 million that they owed him?
I can't remember.
Remember, he took the job with the Patriots. It seemed like he took an NFL job temporarily. But I do remember that there was litigation involved with him trying to recoup what he felt like Arkansas still owed him. Good opportunity, Jason. Thank you. To wish a very special thank you to all of our veterans, men and women, who are serving, who have served, who've sacrificed so much here on this Veterans Day. Thank you for allowing us to do what we do every single day. Pat's looking that up as he continues to do that.
It had to do about mitigation.
Okay.
It was the fact that Arkansas was claiming that they did not have to pay Bielema because Bielema got that job with the Patriots.
Okay.
And so that's when they went to court. They ended up, everything got settled. I think they settled for around $11.8 million. It originally was going to be about $15 million. So once lawyers get involved and whatever. But, yeah, that's what it was about, the mitigation of a contract.
People sending stuff from Auburn websites with information about boosters and things they're hearing.
From the boosters or just from the websites?
From the booster.
Okay.
One booster in particular. It's not Jimmy Rain, by the way.
Okay.
But I don't know. I haven't seen or heard these same things. We'll continue. Off to a fast start here in the first hour. We're live from Social Taco. Coming up the next hour, Tyler McComas. We're going to check in with him. There in the state of Oklahoma as the Sooners come calling. They visit Bryant Denny on Saturday. Sean Fox from the boot. We'll ask him what's going on with all this LSU mess and what he's hearing about LSU's next potential head coach. All of that and more. Join us. Social Taco. The doors are opening. Some people are here. The tacos are hot. The fellowship is even hotter.
That's right, fellowship. That's right.
I think that makes sense. Three-man front. We continue talking college football and more right here on Jocks.